welcome to Disability Access in Action, a production of the City of Boston's Disabilities Commission. I'm Andrea Patton, Chief of Staff for the Commission, and in today's episode, you will learn a bit about how to find some fun here in Boston. The City of Boston's Disability Commissioner and ADA Title II Coordinator, Kristen McCosh, will be talking with Boston Centers for Youth and Families Commissioner Marta Rivera today about how Boston's disability community can take advantage of everything that BCYF has to offer. Take it away, Commissioner McCosh and Commissioner Rivera.
Thanks, Andrea. Welcome to our show, everybody. I am pleased to welcome our guest this month, Marta Rivera, the Commissioner of Boston Centers for Youth and Family. I'm going to send it right over to Marta so she can introduce herself. Marta?
Thank you, Commissioner McCosh and Andrea. First, thank you for inviting me to the show. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Marta Rivera. I am the Commissioner of the Boston Centers for Youth and Families. And if you're not familiar with our centers, we are throughout the city of Boston. We operate 36 facilities. That includes 26 community centers, 16 of which are in Boston Public School facilities. We have a decades-old partnership with BPS. We partner with our sister agency, the Boston Public Schools, for over 50 years at those sites. We also operate 19 pools and the beach, a portion of Carson Beach over at the Curly.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. As someone who grew up in the city, I know a lot about the programming and the sites that you have. I grew up in South Boston going to the Curly Rec Center and using the beach there, but I didn't know you had so many pools. That's really great to know. And I know we're going to dive into a little bit about accessibility features in a few minutes, but could you give us a broad overview of like what neighborhoods do you have centers in? Is it every neighborhood? And what are the types of programming that you offer at the different facilities?
So we're nearly in every neighborhood. There's probably, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 neighborhoods we're not in, but everything from the South End to Dorchester, Roxbury, Jamaica Plain, Mattapan, North End, Charlestown, just to name a few. Well, I don't want to leave out East Boston. And I'm actually headed there later today. And as far as programming, we serve everyone from the littles all the way to the seniors and everything in between. I would say our primary focus and what we're mostly known for is for serving school-age kids and youth, teens. For a lot of young people like myself, a job at BCYF is like their first job. And so like you, I grew up going to the community centers here in Mission Hill at the Tobin and the Johnson Center, sitting on my first board as a youth advocate on the Tobin Council. And as I said, finding my way to my first job here at the Tobin as well. For adults, we have a variety of fitness classes, and we have for seniors, also everything from fitness classes to social activities and recreational activities. And for youth, it's everything that's recreation, school, and homework help to sports. And as I mentioned, we have pools. So our pool facilities are either providing recreational swim or swim lessons. We're really committed to ensuring that every person or every young person in Boston knows to swim. That's actually a mayoral priority. And so, of course, our lifeguards are busy doing that.
Great, thank you so much. Just to follow up on the pools, I, as a youth, always went to the Condon Community Center and their pool. But like I said, I didn't know there were so many pools. Can you talk a little bit more specifically? Are they indoor and outdoor, and are any of them standalone or attached to facilities?
Absolutely. So we are located, so we operate all of the pools, or all but 2 of the pools that are in BPS buildings. So the only ones we don't operate are Madison Park and the Umana Barns, but all of the other pools that are in BPS facilities, we operate, meaning that we staff them and our lifeguards are guarding and teaching the lessons. And so those are, again, we mentioned the Condon. There's also Curtis Hall has a pool, Hennigan, Perkins, Marshall. And so most of our pools are indoors and are in school facilities, but we have a few what we call standalones. That means it's just a pool facility. And those include the Flaherty in Rosendale, the Draper in West Roxbury, the Mason in Roxbury, and of course, I'm going to miss one.
Is it the Mirabella in the North End?
Well, the Mirabella and the Clarity are the only two outdoor pools we have. I guess Curtis Hall is probably the other one I'm missing, Curtis Hall. And yeah, Draper, Mason, Flaherty, and Curtis Hall.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is, it is. There are a lot of them. But yes, we oftentimes we're confused with DCR pools, and DCR pools operates a lot of outdoor pools. I believe they're all outdoor pools, but our only outdoor and seasonal pools, as we call them, are the Clarity in Charlestown and the Mirabella in the North End. Beautiful pools. The Clarity was recently redone, and we're just finishing up the pool house. Incredible facility that is what's called has a zero entry, which means you kind of just walk into and wade into the water. The family pool end of it, both pools is a family pool, and then the what we call the lap swim pool or the recreational pool, and that one has they both have ramps. So that was a big goal of that pool, and as well as all of our other pools, we want to make sure that they are not just accessible by way of the lifts, but with that, someone with mobility issues, or if you have the right wheelchair, you can just, make your way into the water easily.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. So our viewers can't see on screen, but I use a wheelchair myself. So I was wondering about the access. I know BCYF is very committed to access for people with disabilities, including wheelchair users. So you mentioned the zero entry pool, and that's, I'm assuming, because it was just done over. That's a newer type of access to pools. I know, like in the last 10, 20 years, the zero entry pool, but do all your pools have some level of access, whether it's a lift or a spot to transfer in, or is that the only zero entry one in BCYF?
Yes, all of our pools have accessibility. So they'll all have the lift, and some will have the lift and a portable ramp, but minimally they'll have a lift, and that's required. Um, we are, as you said, we've inherited a lot of facilities, and like many of our city buildings, they're old, and so it's harder to retrofit them, right, to make them beyond ADA compliance, just really, more accessible. But with these new facilities that we're building from the ground up, like the Dorchester area and the North End, which are going to have new facilities, we can really go all out and make sure that they're really accessible, again, above and beyond what's required to be inclusive for all. And so one way of doing that is to create these zero entry pools. And again, in addition to having a lift and in addition to having a ramp, and making it so that there's multiple ways that people can just make their way into the water and enjoy it.
That's great. And I know BCOF has a lot of older buildings like the Boston Public Schools. So when you see a brand new facility, like some of the brand new schools that are built, it's just amazing to see like how far we've come in technology and building infrastructure that's accessible. Could you talk a little bit about the North End or Grove Hall buildings and what types of features they have?
Sure. So both the North End and the Dorchester community, the Grove Hall community in particular, or specifically, we're in the process of building new community centers, and these will be the first that will be particularly in the Dorchester area. We're starting from the ground up. It's a fully new build, and in the North End, we're replacing the pool house building with a community center, and we're in the process of we'll also be renovating the existing pool. So let's start with the Dorchester. As I said, it'll be the first time that BCYF is building a new building as opposed to retrofitting or occupying an existing municipal building. So there's lots of room, right, to again enhance and add these incredible features and use new technology. We've learned so much from our partners at Public Facilities Department, and then they in turn have learned from other facilities they've built. They've used, for instance, their experience with the East Boston Senior Center to advise us on what would be what would be useful or great to have in some of our community meeting spaces in the new Grove Hall Community Center, as far as assisted listening devices and how to improve, the sound in rooms, signage, right? So even in terms of the visuals and signage, furniture for, different uh, different purposes and uses. So our senior room furniture versus our youth room furniture. So really, very thoughtful decisions again, from not just looking at access from the point of how do you enter and exit the building, but when you're there, what's your experience? And we're really excited to implement all of those lessons. Some of the other things that we're looking at in the Dorchester community center, the new one, is, as I mentioned earlier, the ramp into the water, and let's see, assisted listening devices in the rooms. Of course, door openers and buttons to access things, and wide doorways, all of those things. But also looking at our in our gym area, we've allocated a significant amount of space, and we're making sure that in the gym we'll have the equipment and ability to charge and store adaptive sports equipment. So one of the programs that we host here at the Tobin in Mission Hill is in partnership with the Boston Self-Help Center. They have adaptive sports on Saturdays. And so they have vault hockey, and they have power soccer. And the chairs that they use, or the sort of the sports, I think they call them chairs, right? That they use, they're larger, and they also have to be charged. And so, they're stored here in our basement, and it takes up a lot of room. We're not able to store them in the gym. And so every Saturday, it takes a couple of hours for them to bring them into the gym from the basement up the elevator. And so those are the things that we're looking at and thinking about as we build new facilities. So in the Dorchester facility, we'll have that right in the gym. So we are able to offer things like adaptive sports, because we'll have the storage for the equipment and charging stations. We're also looking at our fitness centers, not just the Dorchester and the North End, but across all of our fitness centers, including having adaptive equipment, workout equipment. And I want to thank you, Commissioner, and with your help, the OT student that was here, was it the winter, right? She shared her analysis of our spaces, 10 of our spaces. Elizabeth Litt, sorry, her name was coming to mind. So I want to thank you for connecting her with us. And she assessed 10 of our spaces and looking at our fitness spaces and just our facilities in general, and shared her recommendations for how to improve accessibility. But what mostly stuck out was her assessment of our fitness centers, because to me, that's like a low-hanging fruit. She made mention of how crowded they are, and equipment is like next to each other, and it's hard to traverse. And that none of our fitness centers included adaptive equipment. I shouldn't say none. There was some equipment that could be used, but we could do better at that. So all that to say, we're grateful for the partnership, and for the the guidance in this space, not just with our new facilities, but just even how we can improve our existing spaces.
Yeah, and we work very closely with the Public Facilities Department to inform them of different needs of the community. And I'm really glad you brought up the assisted listening devices, because people think accessibility and they think wheelchair, but there are so many different types of disabilities that we can accommodate, and not even individual accommodations, but just make the spaces welcoming so people don't have to ask for accommodations. So having the built-in hearing loop is super helpful for people with hearing aids. Having space between the equipment for seniors who people may be like moving a little slower or more gingerly. You don't want them to trip or fall. People with low vision, all these things make a big difference. So appreciate that you mentioned that. And one thing too that we've learned from Age Strong is the different types of furniture, like you mentioned. Some older people need armrests so they can kind of push up a little bit when they're standing from a seated position. We also like to have tables and desks that are standard height. I know the trend now is for high top kind of tables, but we like the standard height for people who are in wheelchairs. So we know that you pay attention to all those things across the board, and we're really appreciative of that. And another thing that our OT student noticed when she did her assessment of the 10 facilities was staff training, because we know how important that is, because you could have all these wonderful facilities, but if staff don't know about them, someone with a disability might come in and say, oh, I want to use the pool. And the staff may say, oh, well, it's not accessible, when in reality it is. So can you talk about your efforts to train staff on all the features of each center?
Yeah, so I mean, in addition to just training them on the features of all of the centers, so that is just ongoing training. The other, thing that's important, I think, is just training them on how to work with persons with disabilities. And for that, I'm thankful again to you, Commissioner McCosh, as well as our folks in the equity cabinet, because that's something that we've really been taking advantage of, is making sure that all of our staff is trained. Again, not just on our facilities, but just in general, how to make everyone that walks the door welcome, and again, be able to assist them. And there's been everything around like diversity and inclusion training, and again, working with your office, working with persons with disabilities, and that's something we're going to continue to do. We also had a cohort of aquatic staff trained on adaptive swim. Actually, they weren't just trained, they were certified as adaptive swim instructors recently. And that cohort is going to help look at all of our lessons and how we do swim lessons and ensure that all of it is adaptive. So really looking to, and I said earlier that there are some things that are low hanging fruit, and professional development and training, that to me is low hanging fruit, right? It's a lot easier than, again, retrofitting our old buildings. And so that is just a starting point. How do we continue to equip our staff to do their best to serve all of our constituents?
Yeah, and I just want to highlight some of the specific programs you have for people with disabilities. I know you mentioned the swim instructors, but you also have beach wheelchairs available at the Curly Rec Center. I was lucky enough to attend a Beach Abilities Day last weekend at Constitution Beach in East Boston. It's a DCR property, but they had beach wheelchairs and adaptive kayaking. But I know that the city offers them at the Curly Rec. And then a few other things that are dedicated for people with disabilities are Camp Joy. I wondered if you could touch on that briefly. And then also the chair yoga that's helpful for people who are in wheelchairs or seniors. A few of the programs like that that are specific for people with disabilities.
Yeah, so Camp Joy is one that's one of my favorites. They've been around a long time, decades. And we were we were in 4 sites, I would say maybe a few years ago. And I think it was just post-pandemic, sort of we've been slow to come back, but we have this summer, we just wrapped up Camp Joy at the Orenburger. They've hosted us there for several years. And so Camp Joy is a program for Boston residents with disabilities and their siblings. And, they'll say it's like ages, I want to say 7 to like 15, but, we have young adults as well. And then some of those young adults have gone on to be on staff. So we have like 2 or 3 that are actual camp counselors. So I love our Camp Joy program, and shout out to Miss Roberta Smalls, who's run that program for the past several years, and she's such a gem. So that we have Camp Joy, and it's not just during the summer. During the winter, we also have a variety of activities that we support families with. Sometimes it's providing tickets, sometimes it's taking them to a show and providing transportation. So there's a summer 4-week program, and then there's also a break component as well. And then which one did you want to, chair yoga. Okay, you wanted me to mention chair yoga. So chair yoga is a popular one, not just at the Curly, but at a number of our sites. And we offer it at the Nazaro in the North End, Mattahunt and Mattapan, Curtis Hall and JP, Hyde Park, Community Center, the Muni, and I'm sure I'm going to forget some, but there's actually a number of sites that offer chair yoga, and more in the fall. Now, if you want to just learn more about that, just go on our website. It's boston.gov/BCYF. Scroll down, go to programs. You can also access the map and all the community centers there. But once you go into the programming area, you can either just search chair yoga, or if you have a particular or specific community center near you that you want to go to, you just click on that one, and then you can see all of the offerings at our community centers.
That's great. I was going to mention the map because I hadn't seen that before, but I clicked on it this week when I was prepping for the show, and it was really helpful. It shows each neighborhood site and the different features they have, the different programs. And I do just want to let our audience know too that if you do need an individual accommodation, you're always still welcome to ask for that. I know Marta's staff are all trained up in people with disabilities asking for certain accommodations. We work closely with residents if they do need an accommodation and do our best to fulfill that. So again, if you do have a disability or have a child with a disability and you need a particular accommodation, please feel free to reach out to Marta and ask, or her staff. And then that was a great transition when you mentioned the fall, because we know summer is winding down and school will be starting soon. And I imagine a new slate of programming for students. Is there anything you could talk about what happens in September?
Yes, I mean, there's so much. And this is where it's just you half hours not enough to talk about everything we offer. The best way to find out what's happening is, again, you can either go to our website if you have a particular center you want to learn about, you can see their list of offerings, or just show up, just walk up and, ask them to provide the calendar for the month. But there's so much, and sometimes I don't even know what's happening because there's so many different activities across all the centers. And for the fall, all I can say is that there's a wide range of programs, whether it's educational, recreational, or sports programming. We kick off our developmental youth sports leagues in the fall. So let me see, in the fall we have, I believe it's swimming and basketball, and then in the spring it's volleyball. But again, every site will also have their individual, set of activities. And I could tell you what's for whatever reason, become very popular. Sewing. Sewing is back. So we have, and all ages. So we have quite a number of sites that are offering sewing classes. And you have the little ones sewing, you have school age kids, teens, seniors, and everything in between. So that's why the range of activities vary. We have robotics with kids. We have computer classes with seniors. There is line dancing, chair yoga, as we mentioned earlier, and then
You do
everything
some
happens.
lunch programming too for seniors?
Yeah, so some of our sites are congregate meal sites. We work with Age Strong. And then sometimes it's just sitting down and having, cookies and coffee and some pastries, like stop on by Hyde Park. If you
So
wanted to
it's,
have
yeah,
coffee with the
it,
seniors on a Friday.
yeah, it's a real supportive place for the whole family, really. But when you said what's become popular, I was sure you were going to say pickleball, because that's all we
Oh
hear
yeah,
about lately is pickleball.
yeah, sports wise, pickleball. And you know what? I thought I would it would sort of catch on with the youth. So we started providing sort of some classes and lessons with the kids, but they don't really want to do it. Hasn't
Yeah,
caught on with the youth.
with the young kid, yeah, it's more
Yeah,
young adult
adults
or
and
adults.
seniors,
Yeah.
pickleball, yes. And pickleball, I can say, I'm trying to think of a site that doesn't offer it. Most of our sites offer pickleball as well. But yeah, no, in terms of other activities, there's sewing has become a thing. The line dancing is also catching on.
Wow.
There's line dancing at least 4 of our sites. There's quite an array of activities.
So no matter what your interest is, check out BCYF's map and click on a site near you, and you can find something that you'd like to participate in.
Yeah.
Well, Marta, I want to thank you for all the information that you provided. This was so helpful and so inspiring to have some fun in the city. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Yep. And again, people can always reach out to our office at disability@boston.gov or Marta's office at bcyf@boston.gov. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner McCosh and Commissioner Rivera. We learned so much great information about the offerings at the Boston Centers for Youth and Family. As we approach the final days of summer and into the fall, I do want to highlight some other amazing ways that you can enjoy the outdoors and gather with your communities. Again, in addition to BCYF, you can have fun in your own neighborhood. In fact, the City of Boston encourages residents to throw parties right on their block. Every year, the Mayor's Office of Civic Organizing distributes block party grants. Up to $750 is available to applicants who want to host neighborhood gatherings. This money can be used for food, games, entertainment, and even more. Even if you don't receive funding from the grant, you can still get a permit to host a party at any time during the year. Visit boston.gov/block party to learn more about the permits that are required and how to apply. If you do still want to get outside all times of the year and you enjoy visiting parks as much as I do, you will love the Accessible Features Parks map. So just like BCYF has a map that you can scroll through and look and find what center has the right services for you, you can visit our website, boston.gov/disability, and scroll down to the I'm looking for section. There, you'll find a button for accessible features in parks. Navigating the map is pretty simple. You toggle between the features that you're looking for, such as stair-free access, sensory-friendly play elements and playgrounds, shaded seating, and more, so that you can find a park with the features that matter most to you. And now, you're in the know. Thank you for watching Disability Access in Action. We'll see you all again in the fall.